A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back once again to HJN Super Graphics. So for this instance, I have pretty much devoted a lot of time into the year 2023 regarding games, and it does seem that the list never seems to come to a true ending here. But I feel like why would it need to end? There's just so many amazing masterpieces that might as well be talked about at this point while I still have time in the series. And I feel like that another honorable mention, at the very minimum, for number 2621 is going to be You Suck at Parking. Yeah, this is what some people describe as being quite a fun game, something that's quite different than what we've seen regarding driving games. We know that some driving games do result around building cars, test driving, racing, navigation through various environments, or even carts. But with all that stuff basically covered, what else could we possibly do with driving? Well, how about a game that's all about parking instead of your driving skills? Yeah, devoting all of your time into parking, as the clocks themselves are very unforgiving, and rather than use your driving skills in order to get there, you basically go through all the dangerous efforts possible. Well, as dangerous as they might sound, I'd say in this particular instance, having played through the whole game myself and even through a DLC pack worth of content, it actually does work in its own unique favor. A game like this, with something that basically has been around for less than 2 years, it certainly is something that may be on a frustrating level of challenge, but the wild ingenuity, scenarios depicted, obstacles and hazards, and many other things sure do come together to make something that most of us didn't see coming at the time. Think about it. In 2023, we've had lots of games out there. We've had some really bad games out there, like Skull Island, Rise of Kong, and then, of course, we had some really amazing games, like the Crew Motorfest. So where exactly would You Suck at Parking belong in? Well, to that I can't say much. It's definitely something that I wouldn't really recommend for everybody out there. Anybody who might like a hardcore challenge could definitely try this out. But maybe not everybody is willing to have a hardcore challenge. Something like this, with its unique style, its unique animation, its playability factor, and the fact that you do get to access different biomes and try out different levels, and even have the option to customize your own cars. You basically have different models to choose from, different paint schemes, different customization options, including hats and accessories. And on top of all that, there's plenty of combinations you can work with. Just think, with all the different driving games out there that relate to customization, not many would have guessed that we would have actually gotten something like this. As elaborate as it might seem to be, I would probably go so far to say that maybe 30 to 40 bucks put on a game like this that might only last for maybe 3 or 4 hours worth of time, not exactly something that's worth the money overall. But I will say that the challenge, the overall entertainment value, does at least help for what it does. The time that it might give you might not be a lot to make your money worthwhile, but in the end, I consider this to be something worthwhile for the time that I was able to play it with. It did in fact take me a little under a month for me to fully finish, as I was also preoccupying myself with other things as well. Lots of things that life has basically allowed me to experience. So I suppose with all that in mind, this was a bit of a short episode in all seriousness. Yet at the same time, I feel like that some games out there might not have very much for me to say. Of course, it does start off with the likes of a regular old grassy biome, but then does migrate to such places including a jungle, a snowy wasteland, and even a more contemporary city. But you don't exactly get that much more variety other than that, so I feel like that's one other con that I could identify with. There's not a whole lot of variety in terms of locations, but there is at least a good amount of obstacles and a unique amount of challenge to work with. And there's a ton of things out there. You get to spin around, flip in the air, navigate through boosts, avoid blades, lasers, pushers, boulders, and even flames. As if obstacles weren't enough to worry about. Then of course there's also the occasion where you gotta pick up certain items before you make it to the final destination. And on top of that, there's also really long levels that sometimes have no checkpoints in it. Yeah, it's one of those where you gotta beat in one flawless run. They sometimes require a lot of practice. So, again, not much more I could say other than what I've already stated here. So, with everything that I've already pointed out, and all that also implies, you suck at parking. Sure, it was a bit of a fun concept, but I suppose that the execution was a bit more of a farce than some might have expected. And while a good amount of people might find entertainment value within this, I myself can't say that the money would be totally worthwhile to purchase a game like this. And for that, my overall score on this, for everything that I've already talked about here, is going to be set probably at a somewhat medial 6.6 out of 10.1. Not exactly something I would wholly recommend to everybody out there, but if you're really willing to put together a good amount of money for something like this, even if they drop it on a discount on the PlayStation Store, maybe this could be worth it. But hey, you'll still get some good enjoyability out of it, if you do. And I suppose that cuts it for today's episode. Tune in tomorrow, and more HJN Super Graphics material will come along rather soon. And as always, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow me wherever you can find me, and stay on the Hollywood side for more.